St. Moritz in Switzerland, 1,800 meters above sea level and 1¼ centuries of history of ice sliding from the town of St. Moritz down to the village of Celerina in the valley. Hello everybody, welcome back to our continuing coverage of the BMW IBSF Bobsleigh and Skeleton Worlds 2023 as we continue with our monobob competition. Martin Haven and Greg Cackett have been watching the action with you, and Greg, interesting top three after the first day of action.
Yeah, I cannot wait for today. We've got the mono this morning with really tight at the top with Kaylee chasing Lara. Lisa yesterday with that amazing start record, 5:77. We're seeing, you know, an Olympic champion brakewoman into the front seat here, and that borne out with that stunning push. Kaylee, like you always say, one of the best to ever do it, if not the best to ever do it. She's come back to huge pushing form as well. So what are we going to see from her? She is not too far adrift. She's less than 3/10, and anything can happen on this track. And when it's Kaylee Humphries, that rings absolutely true. And then we have, obviously, the Olympic champion in the two-woman, Laura Nolter, who is just the most improved in this bit of kit this year. So we say this all the time, the mono is difficult to tame, difficult to control, and the girls are all transitioning into this in their own time, at their own speed. They're all figuring out how to optimize it. The mechanics are working it out. Is it thin runners on the back? Is it sitting further back? But Laura is just having some stunning drives, and she's rightly at the top, so she is the one to watch.
She is in such good form after taking her first ever win in monobob in Lake Placid. She's barely been touched. Kaylee Humphries, 2,700's back after Nolter laid down a smoking second heat with Lisa Bucklitz ahead of Brianna Walker. And then some really tight battles behind. Apia Hasler-Kilicki covered by 800s, and all the way down our field, some tight battles still to be decided. This is going to be 3 heats, positioning yourself to strike, and then the final run for gold. Well, lots of support for Lara Nolter. Kaylee's team and her friends and family are here. Her husband, Travis, is here with her as well, and Duchess, her dog. It is a cold, frosty morning again. The fastest athlete goes first in our third run, and normally that gives them the best ice and the best chance to build their lead. But as the day goes on, the track will get less frosty and will get faster. And so this actually, perversely here, could well tighten up the field. Kaylee Humphries goes off second, Lara Nolter goes off first. Cynthia Apia there, well, it's a bit of a stretch to the medals, but these sleds are so hard to control, Greg, that actually it's the mistakes that are going to define who wins medals rather than the perfection.
Definitely, and this is one of the things we were saying yesterday, you know, for the mistakes that you may make in your run, you kind of don't want to beat yourself up too much about it, because these are the same mistakes everyone's going to make. You know, Shamrock's pushing people into that wall. You've got to have good entrances into those big 4 rights before the bottom to maintain your speed. People are going to go wrong, so who can minimize it and come out on top.
And that's it. 1 loose run you can survive, 2 you're not going to be in the medals. So we go from first down to 19th. Let us see where we end up, heading into the 4th and final heat, where we will go in reverse order of their standings. Lara Nolter, the women's bobsleigh Olympic champion, gets us underway. She's had a big season this year. 2 wins, 2 silvers in the last 4 World Cup monobob races.
And she's pushing excellently, so a 5:88 getaway. So she had a 5:90 in the first heat yesterday, so that's a 200ths improvement on the first heat. And we know it's stickier at the top in the morning. You know when it's cold, it is harder to get these sleds moving. And you know what? Her brakewoman at home, Debbie Levy, I know you're watching, recovering from a knee injury. You know, Laura's doing you proud here, because she is showing she has got the pushing skills as well.
Nice smooth run so far. Again, the frosty track will make the sleds grip the ice just a little bit more. In the second heat, they will be a touch more skiddy, so the drivers have to reacclimatise every day to the track.
Yeah, I mean, you'd almost argue that the frosty conditions of the morning really favour the monobobs, you know, it gives them a bit more grip, a bit more control. But Laura having a nice run here.
100.6 kilometres an hour in the forest. We will see not too many going quicker than that. 110.8, that's 68.9 miles an hour already into the fast 4 right-handers. Tree, Leap, Bridge, Gunter Sachs. Down at the bottom, 82.4 miles an hour.
Yeah, this is a great run from Laura. Excellent. So, I mean, earlier on in the run there, she had a little tap before Sunny, and these are just minor mistakes, little tiny tweaks that this track can punish you for, and we'll see how this stacks up as the rest of the heat goes on.
First run yesterday, she was fifth out, she was ninth out, and she set a 1:11.25. That's a 1:11.42, a little earlier in the day.
Yeah, we're seeing her. She opts for the step onto the back load. We see the Americans, we see Kaylee next. She will launch herself all the way through into that, and that's another thing they're working out, is that which is the most optimal load, which is the best way to keep velocity. So you see she just had a tiny tap before Sunny, which pushed her away a little bit, but we're talking minor things here. She's happy with that, she knows that was a solid
like
run.
a racehorse in this altitude, 1,800 meters above sea level. Only Salt Lake City is higher. Kaylee Humphries then, third and sixth fastest pushes in the first two heats. 5:89s both time. Just seen a 5:88 from Lara Nolte. If Kaylee does another 5:89, that'll get her right in the frame.
Yep, so again, we've seen a resurgent Humphries in the push these past year or so, past couple of years, which is great to see, and she's really proving in the mono she's got it all, you know?
5:89 absolutely hammers it on the head. Now then, with Kaylee, as long as the start is good enough, it is the drive that will make the difference. Her huge experience of 13 seasons of driving bobsleds is what is going to help her in this situation.
Yeah, and that's what you saw there, though, those long straightaways around the two kinks. She's keeping that thing straight as an arrow. And that's exactly where you want to be. So as she comes into Sunny there, this is nice. Now, at the top here, when you're giving away that much time from the first day, you're looking to stop the bleed. We'll see her at the next clock. She's done there. She's approaching horseshoe. Now she want to get a nice line through there, get spat out into telephone. So she's just about to stop the bleed. A little late off there.
Gap's growing. Good speed, though. That's quicker than Lara Nolte.
So if she keeps this clean, we might see this dropping down. It's just about stemmed the flow. She's been around 32, 3,400 back for the last couple of clocks.
Yeah, Laura was a fraction quicker in the forest. Kaylee's got a big skid going.
That's not optimal.
And that is going to cost her a couple more tenths. She could be as much as half a second back at the line. That's a big advantage for Lara Nolte. It is half a second, the deficit.
So again, just some little squirrely errors, which you can see with it just punish you, just takes your speed away.
Now that, for Kaylee Humphries, is an uncharacteristic error. From leap into sacks, she had a skid and then a big slide down the straight. Horseshoe was good, the exit was lovely. She had top speed coming down off the height of Horseshoe. Great to see the hands working on the D-rings there, but
really
here...
pictures. Late off telephone into Shamrock.
Yeah.
And we know that corner wants to push you. And she's just come off. I think that's a little early from good to sack, so she's just not taking that straight line. Yeah, look, she's visualising it in her head now, she knows.
Rehearsing that final fourth corner. Now, that leaves the door open for Lisa Buchwitz, 2018 Olympic champion as a brake woman. Can she take her own driving world championship medal here?
I'd expect something in the low 80s here on the frosty morning. Woo, 580. Oh, she's not quite there. She's got it under control now. So round kink 2, and she's got that under control. So third best speed with that sort of start. You can see how much that can impact you if you're not tip-top round the first kink. But this is good. Now she goes around wall.
Yesterday morning, 586 in her first start, so she knows that she needs every fraction of speed she can get at the start.
Now, you're going to want to watch the second heat when it warms up a little bit. Her start, I can imagine that start record is going to be lowered significantly.
Now, she was 2,200s behind Kaylee for the silver medal position overnight. She's in the bronze medal position, but a threat from behind from Brianna Walker. So, like Kaylee Humphries, she needs a good drive. Third best speed. Third on the splits at the moment, losing time to Nolte.
Now she's into these pivotal right corners. She's around the 6-7 tenths mark behind. I'm not sure how much she's going to gain on that. That's
a little early
on the
there.
wrong side, yeah. She's okay.
No skid.
Second best speed,
so she'll limit the damage to Kaylee Humphries. Is this enough to keep her in the medals into the final run? 1:11.69, only 600 slower than Kaylee. So she has barely dropped anything. That's a really good bottom pass of track. It shows how much of a difference that makes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You have to be carrying that speed through at the bottom. It is absolutely crucial.
Language, Timothy. Well, she wasn't happy with that. What were the mistakes that she was thinking of? She's certainly closing on Kaylee in the forest.
But look at the start. I mean, that's a brake woman's hit. She just electric, and you can see the knee drive, the range of motion, and all that power is driving into the floor.
And she's even freer because she doesn't have to worry about what the driver's doing. She can really dictate her own terms, and that's why she's such a powerhouse at the start, because she's not thinking about anybody else. It's just her. She gets that rock back and the drive from the hips down into the sled.
But again,
Schneider-Heinze there, one of our jury, world champion in women's bobsleigh. Always great to bring the talent back, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Need a big push from Brie here.
Brianna Walker, again, another strong starter. 590 yesterday morning in the first heat.
She's going to want to be down near that, if not faster. Look at that, 584. Great job, Brie.
Fastest in the competition of her 3 pushes now.
How about that?
Big speed as well, 53.8, quicker out of the blocks than Lara Nolte or Lisa Buchwitz.
Well, again, you saw she negotiated kink 1 and kink 2 well. She carried that speed through. That's not good, but hey, if she can sustain this through around Sunny and into Horseshoe.
No skid into Sunny. We saw a lot of skidding there yesterday. We probably will in the 4th run as well. Little tap between Nash and Dixon. Ooh.
Only a few hundredths on Buchwitz here. She's got to chase it. That's nice and high.
Great exit.
Yeah, she's doing well here.
Now then, does she tap?
Shamrock.
Oh, tiniest tap. Just nudges her a little offline. 4th best speed, but Brianna Walker, this is clean.
She's about a 10th back on Buchwitz here.
Not even. Needs big speed at the bottom, needs a clean exit here. They're all driving the same sled.
3rd best speed.
Good speed. As
good,
quick as Buchwitz. How close is this going to be for bronze? 1400s in it.
Hey, she's cut that deficit a bit.
No, she was 1/100th of a second slower than Lisa Buchwitz. So Lisa has just the tiniest bit more. It was 1300s, it's now 1400s. But you can give away that in 1 skid.
Absolutely. Hey, Brie will be looking at this thinking that bronze medal is absolutely up for grabs.
Absolutely.
When you're pushing a 584, you know, she's reduced that deficit on Buchwitz as well. So what a race for the bronze we're seeing here.
It's a single heat race for the medals.
Absolutely.
Great view there of the driver's hands working.
And you can see that Shamrock corner on a pusher, but that was not too bad. It was a relatively square tap.
Yep.
Not too much of a skid. Good job, Brie.
So 1 to go for Brianna Walker. She's just in reaching distance of the medals. What about Cynthia Appia? 2nd and 3rd fastest starts. She is quite away from the medals, 9/10 back.
So I think Cynthia's going to be battling with Melly Hasler for the top 6 here. At least for the 5th place position. We're going to see a big start. Sin is an absolute beast. 578. Oh, wow. I'll tell you what, I don't know what's going on in the warm-up this morning for the girls. They are absolutely flying. It's frostier.
Part of it also is that we've had 36 skeleton sleds go off.
Oh, there we go.
And so some of the frost in at least one of the grooves will have been taken out of it, the right-hand groove. So it will just be a fraction less stick on the ice for the runners.
Okay, interesting. I mean, I'd like to give the credit to the girls.
We're talking about hundredths of a second. Well, of course, it's the final day of the World Champs. Of course, that's a factor too.
Yeah, these girls want it. They do not want to lose their position. Ooh, head knocking around there from Sin, but 130 back here.
Yeah.
Half a second back on Brie.
Now, again, because the fastest athlete over the first day goes first, you sort of expect everybody else will lose a little bit more time to the leader. It's not always the case, but that tends to be the way.
Sin, that's nice. Down into Martineau. She's holding on to that 5th best speed. And she's going to want to just put daylight between her and Melly Hasler here.
Okay, 112 flat. So 3/10 slower than Brianna Walker and Lisa Buchwitz. But the real thing is her 500ths of a second battle with Melanie Hasler. And only 800ths behind Sin was Kim Kalicki, who's in 7th place.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm just fascinated to see how the rest of these girls get down there with the starts, because these push starts are booming this morning.
Watch the head tells you everything. She's leaning right over, looking where she's going. Then she's sitting up and looking out to the right-hand side. Even as sled is diving down into telephone, she's looking for Shamrock. Because unless you can see where the corner is, you can't drive through it.
That's it.
Lara Nolte leads first 5 sleds down in the Women's Monobob World Championships. Run 3 in this monobob competition. I'm loving the socks for Melanie Hasler of Switzerland. friends and family on them. She's in 6th place overnight, 500s out of the top 5.
So she'll be looking for a big start here. 5.94 she got away yesterday. It was a 7th ranked push.
Oh, big skid.
Same again, but that is gonna be a big killer for Melly there.
Did that in the first heat of the competition as well. Just had too much of the zero kink and it just pushes her a little wide.
Yeah, that's going to be really tough to overturn. Like we say, normally you kind of want the off-ramp at that point, but if anyone can pull back a deficit, it'll be a home Swiss athlete and one that's good at driving as Melly as well. Come on, keep it.
From Snake down to Sunny.
Keep it steady, Melly, come on.
Nice transition in Nash and Dixon, that's very good. Keeps the speed alive.
Launches out a horseshoe, beautiful exit.
Now then, this is where, if she, here we go.
That's
this
nice.
is where she's going to catch Cynthia Appia. And actually, if she has 2 good runs...
It's already down to, went from half a second to 2600, so...
She could put Brianna Walker in 4th, and maybe Lisa Buchwitz under pressure. Tucks her head down, out of the airstream, France...
Come on, Melly.
Is she going to be ahead at the line? She is ahead at the line, 1:11.95.
Nailed on with Sin. Never dead heat.
500ths of a second quicker than Cynthia Appia. She was 500ths behind overnight. And there goes the train over the bridge. Bobsleigh track goes through one arch, the Cresta run goes through the other.
That exit around Kink 1, that just would have really dented her time there, so she's done incredibly to bring that back. And you can see on her push, she might have just been caught the end of it there. She's really a bit inefficient in the load, but the elbows tucking in. She's really trying to keep all that force, all those power lines directed into the sled. That's classic Chris Woolley instruction there.
Yep.
There we go.
Ping-ponging down the straight. She gets it under control. That's probably a 1/4 of a second net loss down the run. Tucks her head out of the airstream. Every 100th counts. If she hadn't done that, she'd be 100th behind Cynthia Appia instead of tied to the 100th.
Yeah.
Kim Kalicki then was only 800ths behind Appia. Can we have a 3-way tie, please, gods of sliding? That would just be so much fun. Not for the athletes, but just for us.
Hey, we can see it. She had a 5.99 getaway, former 100-meter sprinter. She's got the wheels, and it's another 5.99 getaway.
And made less of a fist of that first kink than the sled of her rival Melanie Hassler. Cynthia Appia was pretty clean there as well.
Clean down into wall. She's currently in a dead heat with Melly.
Yeah. Of course, her time is time's measured against leader Lara Nolter, not against her direct rivals.
So she'll see how she navigates Nash and Dixon now. To take a nice, speedy line to horseshoe. This is good. A little close there. This is good from Kim. This is really good.
Well, she
is going back a little bit.
She's only taken 1 monobob medal. She's been a multiple race winner in women's bobsleigh. Has only had 1 medal in monobob and has yet to win a race. 4th best speed. This is where she's going to close on Appia and Hassler. She needs a 1:11.93, a 92 to tie, and she's across the line in an 87. She goes ahead of Appia and Hassler.
There we go. What an excellent drive from Kim. She always says she's trying to work out whether or not she's friends with this piece of kit. And it's certainly a little friendlier today. She's sitting in 5th.
Did not close on Brianna Walker, lost nearly 2 tenths to Bree. So Bree is in a battle now for the bronze with Lisa Buchwitz, 1400s. And then this 3-way battle. Kim Kalicki jumps Cynthia Appia and Melanie Hassler to go 5th in the final run. But there, well, again, that's another 1/4 second. And that's why big gaps can disappear, because you can make 1 tiny error and it can absolutely murder you.
Oh, it can crush you here. And this is why this is such a good race, and this top 6 is fantastic. Seeing Sin and Mel nailed on together is absolutely brilliant. Now, here's another big starter. I'm going to be fascinated to see what Maureen does here.
26-year-old junior world champion in monobob and women's bobsleigh, Maureen Zimmer. First time she has performed in front of cameras, other than in training.
And you can see, look at the turnover, look at the knee lift. In that position, that is not easy. That's
In and down, well drilled, 5.79. That's a really good start and not a bad run down the first straight either.
Hey, if you're out pushing Lisa Bookwitz on any day, or you're close to Cynthia Appia, you are doing exceptionally well. This young girl is a hell of an athlete. That is
Sixth after the first heat, a little loose second run, dropped her down into 8th place. But that's the same mistake we saw from Kalicki.
Yeah, just a little bit messy up the top here. A little better through Nash and Dixon. She's going to want a great line round Horseshoe and a great exit.
The runners that they're running on the front, the less control they've got on the ice, but the better they are for speed, because it spreads the weight and you get reduced friction.
Well, it's that gamble, it's that trade-off they make, you know. It's less control, but more speed. You know,
6th fastest at the start, 7th best speed. She was only 1200s behind Kim Kalicki, who's leapt up the order. She was only 1500s.
That's a bad skid. Oh. That's going to wipe some time.
And that is going to leave her in danger of being caught by Switzerland's Martina Fonteneva. 1:12.10.
Yeah, just wipe speed off her there. Oh, that's a shame for Maureen. But promising signs. This is another young athlete, and the Germans have no shortage of athletes in their program. These guys can push so well.
Great start as well. Start record 5.81 in the first heat. And Lisa Bookwitz went 5.77 in the second, but a 5.79 from Maureen Zimmer. So another couple of hundreds quicker than she went yesterday.
Yeah, that start
really fired up for day 2, but then that hard hit out of the Gunter Sachs curve and a long skid down the straight at 80 miles an hour sideways, as you will appreciate, scrubs off a lot of speed.
Good, that's your green. Let's get it going.
Okay, so Martina Fonteneva, in probably her last weekend of competition here at home in San Moritz. Very high handle position, just suits her. She's not a natural break woman.
Yeah, she had a 6.02 getaway yesterday and as her best run, a 6.04 here. So that's a lot better than the 6.09 she pushed in the first heat yesterday. So this is good. And this is a lot better at the top from Martina already.
She had a bit of a yike over that little first dink in the wall, but nice and clean here.
It's skiddy, but again, you see that wall corner is so tricky to negotiate because they haven't got the speed to deal with the 3 pressures it wants to give you. So you kind of slide off, and it's again another speed killer. So everyone working out that corner. But this is good from Martina. This is really good.
On pace, she is not going to catch Maureen Zimmer. Her battle is with the next sled, Bianca Rivi of Canada. They were only 100th of a second apart.
So she took that tap before telephone, which isn't what you want, but this is not too bad here. 8th best speed. Good middle left exits. Keeps you nice and early onto each corner.
Good
and she put her down to 5th best speed. So they were saying to there, Martin, you know, you get those corners right, you can really turbocharge your speed.
1:12.46 for Martina. So that is the target now for our next slider, Canada's Bianca Ribi. Martina Fonteneva trying to consolidate her position inside the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a better run overall than some of her runs yesterday. She found speed at the bottom as well. You know, and a better first push. There's definite positives, Martina, there. Like you say, she's going to want to keep away young Miss Ribi, who's coming next, our Canadian firefighter-elect.
Giving away between 2/10 and 2400ths to the fastest starters is always going to leave you at a deficit, even in this place. She'll compete in the women's bobsleigh next weekend, as will Bianca.
Here we go, Big Ribi, football player from Dartmouth.
Turned 27 a couple of years ago. A couple of days ago.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
She won't forgive you for that one.
So 6.09, 6.03, her 2 starts. If she can duck below 6 seconds, that will be a big improvement.
Yeah, I'll be expecting a low 6.0 here, judging what we've seen this morning from the girls. And a 6.03, there we go.
Well, she closes 100th on Martina Fonteneva. That looked like a slightly nicer run than Martina had as well.
Yeah, we know Bianca's got great hands. She really knows how to navigate these sleds. She's got a gold medal from the first race World Cup this year in Whistler on home ice. So she can deliver at this level.
She was 100th behind Fonteneva and started 100th quicker. So now she's got to outdrive the Swiss on a track that Martina knows far better than Bianca.
Yeah, and you know what? Bianca's still such a new pilot too. And a bit like how Nicole Vogt said to me as well, when they've just come from Altenburg, where it's an awful lot of driving, they've then got to transition into a lot less driving and a lot of trust and, you know, in what they're doing and in their hands. When you're new, it's difficult, and this is great from Ribby.
Great speed.
Really
Look at the speed. Sixth best to second best speed. Bianca Ribby absolutely flying on day 2 in the monobob. Great exit there.
Excellent.
That's the exit Kaylee wanted. 5th best speed, so she may be steering a bit much in the final corners, but this will put her ahead of Martina Fonteneva, and it does.
She does. There we go.
By nearly 4/10 of a second. That's a very big difference there. 1:12.07 to 1:12.46 for Martina. So first blood today to Bianca Ribby.
Definitely. When you're talking about the race within races here, you know, these guys were flipping around for 9th and 10th. And Ribby want to be right in that top 10 by the end of Heat 4. And that would be a fantastic return for a first world champs. Yeah, great job, Bianca.
Really good third run.
Good driving. Like you say, I wonder if maybe some slight overdriving at the bottom, maybe just took a little bit of
to get the line sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, she did a 1:12.35, 1:12.25, and now a 1:12.07.
Yeah, good job.
Track will speed up in the second run, but Bianca Ribby picks up a spot from Martina Fonteneva. Martina should hang on in there. She was 4/10 ahead of Wai Ming overnight. Wai in 11th spot.
So again, maybe looking for another low 6-second push here. So she did have a 6:01, so can she get herself under it? The girls are firing this morning.
And Wai, one of 11
6:01.
first-time World Championship starters.
It equals her best push yesterday, which would have been on much warmer, much slipperier, much more slippery ice.
Quite skiddy down the first straight, a little tidier in the second.
Around that tricky wall corner, not a bad bit skiddy out of it, but nice and square. This isn't too bad for Ming Ming. These guys haven't had quite as much track time this year. You know, they had a couple of weeks in Altenburg at the start of the season, then they were straight into the season. So they are playing catch up, still building their confidence. It's still a pretty fledgling program. They're still growing.
Nice looking slide. 10th best speed. Now that's not going to bring her in touch with Martina Fonteneva, but it is just a little bit of no man's land. She'd like to try and close on the Swiss and ease away from the battle behind her.
Well, again, and you know, minimise mistakes from her earlier runs and keep this relatively clean and tidy, which she is. This it's not really reflecting in the speed, but this is not a bad run.
It's all about personal best, all about confidence as well. And if the coaches have given her just a little bit more control on the sled to make sure she gets down and doesn't crash hard out a horseshoe, then for a World Cup debutante, I mean, they're not expecting her to win medals. It's her first ever Worlds. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if they're just really trying to use this to get them familiar with the World Championships and to build that confidence. Of course, Wai competed in the greatest thing she will ever do in her life, our home Winter Games.
I know, it must be nice.
There will never be a more pressure situation than that, but
again, like you said, these guys are building confidence, and as an athlete, sometimes you just need, it's an accumulation of little wins, an accumulation of little successes, which just keep you going on that spectrum of, you know, can I do this, or I can do this, or I was born for this, you know, and
set the bar low. Achievable goals are what it's all about. That's building confidence. Now, Martina Bock of France and Victoria Chernanska of Slovakia are tied to the 100th overnight in 12th place.
So Margot's got a little bit of pain with her foot still. She's still managing that, but she's not doing too badly. She hasn't got Carla behind her to help her, so she's got to find something special.
Nice.
Yeah, looking good until
away. Unfortunate touch with the wall, but it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
Look at her looking round the cowl of the sled just to see where the wall is.
And a 6:03 getaway after a 6 flat and a 6:02 yesterday. So she's in the ballpark of what she's doing. That's a still skid out of there too. Just trying to get down this tricky top section as clean as possible, because it will take your speed there. And like, see, these are little mistakes that are gonna just keep creeping up on her.
Well, again, you know, up against Victoria Chernanska. Chernanska's got a little bit more knowledge of this track.
Yeah, indeed, all being pushed around like this, it's just lengthening those racing lines. It's giving her more track to cover, which is going to just, you know, slow her down completely. She's a great driver, Margot. She's got a lot of runs under her belt. She's a Plan native, so she knows how to drive these things.
She's had a couple of mono golds in Europa Cup races this season. 10th best speed at the bottom. She's our 12th sled down. So she's got more speed than a couple and rattles the wall. 1:12.79. That's only a 10th of a second slower than Wch Ming ahead of her.
Yeah, it's not too bad. And again, you know, I think these girls are showboating at this stage. We're all going blindfolded at the exit of Portago.
Yeah.
Showing the boys how it's done. But yeah, I mean, quite a few mistakes in the track there. She'll want to brush up on, and she's good enough to brush up on them. So I think she'll just be looking for a big fourth heat there.
First World Championship appearance for Margot. Finished 11th in monobob in the Winter Games in Beijing 22.
And these guys know how important some of these mistakes are. They know how much this magnifies things. I mean, I was speaking to Brad yesterday, and he was telling me mistakes he'd made. That I was like, he's like, yeah, you didn't see it. It wasn't on the camera.
No, I know.
Yeah. And he'd be like, no, it was so minor, but they are so important for this track, as you say.
Absolutely.
It will just disappear your time.
Especially when it's cold and frosty, because it grabs the runners when you go offline. Wiktoria Cernanska next up for Slovakia, our Youth Olympic silver medalist on this track in 2020. She was 17th in the Winter Games. She's our under-23 junior world champion.
Yes, I mean, currently sitting 13th. She's a 6:23 getaway.
That is a good run through the first corner as well. Maybe carrying a little bit less speed in. It's a fraction easier to control. You don't get so hard into that first corner.
But she had a 6:23 getaway in the second heat yesterday, which is when it would have been warmer. So that's a much better return on her first push today in these frostier conditions. And this isn't bad. A little tap there, but this is not bad at all from Wiktoria. And sitting 13th, if she can maintain this spot, it'd be a major champ's best ever result. So she's only going one way. This is great. Nice line into horseshoe. Let's see how she gets out of it. Okay.
Smooth.
Let's see danger area Shamrock now.
Right,
not too bad, square tap.
13th sled, she's got 9th best speed.
Yeah, this is
so
okay.
She's definitely out driving her start.
Yeah.
7th best speed, smooth run from Wiktoria Cernanska. This is going to put her ahead of Margot Bock into 12th place.
Keep it under control, she's flying.
Top 10 speed.
What's she going to have at the line here? Is she going to get Margot?
Yeah, she's
This is
definitely
good.
going to get her. And she is 11th
just
by...
ahead.
Yeah. 1:12.51.
Another dead heat. Nailed on with Wch Ming.
Wch Ming.
Fantastic.
Well, I didn't forecast that happening.
No.
She was 1800s behind Y and went 1800s
Yeah,
quicker.
good job, Wiktoria. I think she's done excellently there.
Yeah,
Improved her
superb.
push.
So she's broken the tie with Margot Bock and moved into a different tie with Wch Ming on the fringes of the top 10.
That's how close this racing is. It's fantastic. You know, these girls are all in the same kit. This is standardized kit. It's about their push and it's about their drive. And this is why it's so interesting to watch, you know? We're seeing the pure athleticism of the sport, and it's really, really good. Yeah, good job, man.
Silver medalist in the Youth Olympic Games here. Our gold medalist is here as well. We will see her shortly. But first is her teammate, Andreea Grecu. Not Victoria's teammate, Georgeta Popescu, the gold medalist in the Youth Olympics. And Andreea Grecu, some way back from where I had hoped to see her. I was really thinking that the Romanian might be on the way to a top 6 rather. Instead, she'll be lucky to get in the top 12, and that's why the first corner she has not got right now 3 times out of 3.
Yeah, she got a 5:90 getaway, so that, you know, yesterday her best was an 89, again, second heat, so a 90 in the early conditions is a good return. We're seeing a return to physical form for Andreea, who's always one of the better pushing athletes, but she had a bit of a day to forget yesterday. You know, she did not have the driving lines we know she can do.
Skidding all
there.
over the place.
Yeah, this has just not been her World Championship so far. So she just, again, want to be one of these people who minimises mistakes and does her best to improve upon what came before.
1600s ahead of Italy's Chiara Andreucci overnight, and this run is not helping her stay in that position, I'm afraid. Every mistake that you can make just about on this track.
Yeah, come on, Andrea. Let's have a good bottom of the track here. Let's find some speed around these big right-handers.
Oh, and again, a big skid there. And another. And another. tail of the sled has got a mind of its own here. Andrea sitting as far back as she can cope with, and it's not helping enough. 1:13.02, that is the slowest run down so far.
Yeah, and a coach seeing there, Paul Niagu, seeing that not vintage Andrea Grecu, sadly.
No.
Hey, she's a good athlete. She's lovely as well. She was in our hotel last week in Altenburg. She's always friendly, always smiling. And
Absolutely.
I think she's got the right sort of mental attitude that she'll go back to the drawing board and sort this out for the approach to Milan. Because, you know, when you, again, we're talking about girls with such good pushing ability, they have to keep backing these girls. And she can drive. This is just not been her
there.
chance.
It's just all over.
Yeah,
It's just absolutely not following the front. So she's making the steers, and the back is just carrying on in a straight line.
Yeah, I wonder if it's an equipment choice. Maybe they haven't gone quite so thin on the back. Or
fat runners for speed, and it's not helping control. Chiara Andreucci from Italy then. Again, a World Cup debutante as a driver, the 27-year-old.
And again, a little skids and taps. Come on, Giada, get it under control. Go around King 2 now.
Won gold last weekend in Sigulda in Latvia in the Europa Cup race in the monobob, so she has got driving ability.
Yeah, she's massively improved her push. A best of 42 yesterday, and that was a 6:39 today. But these drives are skiddy, they are tapping. This is not the lines you want to take to carry speed. You know, and especially when you kind of earned it. You've dropped your start, you've given yourself the velocity. Now you want to reward that with an optimal drive. It's not quite.
Well, she's having a tidier run than Andrea Grecu. 12th best speed. She's our 15th sled. She was 1600s behind Grecu overnight.
And
right now, 11th best speed. She is definitely going to overhaul the Romanian.
Little skid before going to Sachs. That's gonna quite. That speed. Oh, Giada.
Well, there goes her gain in position. 1:13.02 for Andrea Grecu, 1:13.38 for Giada Andreucci. And again, we talked about this. It's not how clean you are, it's how big your mistakes are, and that was as big as they come.
Well, and you can see the reaction from her coach, Manu Mahata, was on the left side of your screen then. He walked off not too happy. Simone Battazzo coming to help her here. They'd have seen that those drives are not...
Yeah.
Probably not what they've been teaching her.
Right to the fourth of the fast corners down at the bottom, she was ahead.
That tap before telephone, pushing her in late.
Right here, she gets early off the Gunter Sachs curve, taps the inside wall.
Yeah, that's good night for speed.
She's basically a drift driver there at 80 miles an hour.
Oh, she'll know.
Well, that opens the door up for Georgeta Popescu, who was 7,500s behind Giada Andreucci. But if our youth Olympic gold medalist from 2020 in San Moritz can have a good drive, she could overhaul her in this one run, because Andreucci will have given away at least half a second on the final straight.
Yeah, Medina, she'll have a good couple of tenths on Giada, you'd expect, in the start here.
Still just 20 years old.
6:22, but there we
come
go.
off the wall.
You've got to keep it under control around that first kick, because that's a 6:22. Her best yesterday was a 21. And a 22 in frosty conditions is a good return. And as you said, every time, Popescu's here, she's born and raised in this equipment. She has a good control of this stuff. She knows how to control it. So she'll be disappointed with that top part. So
very much, I'm afraid. Oh, and a little skid there as well.
Come on, Georgeta.
Again, sort of smaller nations are still really struggling to find the optimal setup for these sleds. The Germans have got half a dozen women driving them. They've got half a dozen mechanics working on them. They've got all sorts of coaching, depth in numbers, trying to figure out what works best and then adapt that to the tracks and the temperatures that they're presented with. 11th their speed, though, for Georgeta. She's our 16th sled.
She's starting to get it under control now, I think.
Do you know what? There is a chance she might be the top Romanian by the end of it. Oh, big waves there. But she hangs onto it in Martineau. Across the line. A hit there, 1:12.94.
So she was actually, 14th in terms of the run, but she's still just a little too far adrift to overhaul Giada or Andrea. But a bit loose at the top, but she's, you can see her getting to grips with it, improving on the way down.
7 tenths behind her teammate Andrea Grecu with one run to go.
And so now the young girl, so here we go. Just inexperienced there.
Well, that's half a second. By the time you get down, that little skid, the speed you've lost, follows you for 1,800 metres. And then these skids early on as well, what little speed you have is dragged out of the sled.
Yeah, if you're in a two-man or a four-man and you're feeling that skid at the top, you almost want to pull the brakes. You think, let's just stop, let's just get out.
Well, she's been an Olympic champion already, Georgeta Popescu. 3 sleds remaining in our third of 4 heats. Nicole Wch of the USA. Best start of the competition was her first, 6:41 yesterday. Let's see if she can duck below the 40s.
Oh, she does, 6:37. Great job, Nicole. Okay, so now this is what we're saying. She's given herself more speed. Now let's have a nice clean drive, and let's get something from that. You know, you've earned it. Let's drive well here. So she's another one who's had very few runs in Europe.
Yeah, half of the medals in North America.
Track.
If we were in Lake Placid, then she would be a whole host more experienced with the track than she is here in St. Moritz.
No, absolutely. And again, we're navigating a tricky kit that wants to throw its tail out, wants to skid on a track with ice that wants you to do that too. She's squirrely there. She's got through.
Little tap into telephone. That knocks her offline through Shamrock and Devil's Dyke. More speed going away.
So let's keep this clean route through Nameless and into these 4 big right-handers. So again, we're looking for middle left exits. Little bit late. It's okay, around going to Sachs. Hey, and there's a skid going to Martineau. So we're seeing lots of errors down the track here. Lots of areas where it's going to
has to try and sort it all out.
Speed.
1:13.39, her fastest run so far. That was a 72. So she's done a 39, a 55, and now a 72.
But for Nicole and Ayo and Riley, her teammates coming up in a couple of sleds' time, they are really enjoying their first World Championships. They're enjoying just getting 4 good runs down, getting a first personal best, and then having a base to build from.
Hey, listen, 2 weeks in St. Moritz, there are worse places to be.
Absolutely, yeah. And Nicole, she's the one who gives me a lot of good insight for the mono. She said, you know, the whole thing coming from Altenburg, and when you're new in Altenburg, really driving, really figuring that out, and then you come into a track and the coaches are saying, right, well, everything you've just been doing for 2 weeks, don't do that here. You know, and it's a lot to take on. So, you know, they're doing a great job, and this is, like you said earlier in the transmission, this is about personal bests, and these guys will get a world champ's personal best at the end of this.
Absolutely. And Altenburg, it's like wrestling an angry, hungry octopus, and here it's a whole lot of Zen Buddhism going on. It's they're as different as you could possibly imagine in just you know, an 8-hour drive. For Poland, another of our debutantes is Linda Wyszewski, and Linda, one of the newer members of the monobob fraternity, just 14 monobob races in her life.
And again, that is about as bad an exit of the kinks as you can get. Okay, she's got it under control now.
More by luck than judgment. He was skidding sideways and magically a curve appeared, but yeah.
Well, she's got it under control now, so she's got a 17 getaway. She had a pair of 16s yesterday. And we've got a new athlete here. Another one looking to get a personal best for a World Championships, a first World Championship, just to get down with 4 runs, and lots of lessons to learn here.
Has not raced here in St. Moritz before, so 6 runs in training. This is now the 9th run of her life down this track. And at the top of the pile, Kaylee Humphries has been racing here for 13 years. So, you know, there's that disparity of knowledge. It's not about the age, it's about the miles, as Indiana Jones once said.
Yeah, and the feel, you know, these guys, that she won't quite have the feel yet or know necessarily how to get out of trouble. So she'll feel the trouble, she'll see the trouble, but not necessarily know how to save it.
She reacts to it rather than knowing it's coming, and that's the difference. It's those hundreds of kilometers of ice mileage that make the difference. 1:13.56.
And she found 80.6 miles per hour, so she is finding speed.
Yeah. Well, again, I talked about it before. When you go off in a taxi bob here in a 4-man, they walk you off and you think, OK, this is the most pedestrian thing ever. By the bottom, you're still hitting 145 kilometers an hour because weight falls. It doesn't matter how fast it starts off.
So here, you know, a more experienced pilot might know, OK, I've set into a skid, stay relaxed, breathe, find the field, get the sled on track again. She just hasn't got that yet because she's so new. So these are all really important experiences.
Nice line. Now she's already setting herself up to look from Telephone into Shamrock. All the corners are blind on this track. You don't get to see the next one. Final sled in our third of four heats of the Women's Monobob World Championships is Riley Compton, another World Cup newcomer this season and another first-timer here in St. Moritz.
Yeah, so Riley, a 27 best getaway yesterday, and at 24, she's improved it. And again, we're seeing those big taps, big skids, just like Linda, the Polish pilot we just saw. And Riley again, so excited to be at her first World Championships, just so excited to be sliding St. Moritz and wanting to put down 4 runs to give herself something to build off.
Well, she's been a real ray of sunshine since we first met her in Whistler. She never competed at the top level before, very new to sliding. She and her brakewoman Macy only started 2 full seasons ago.
Yeah, so still learning their trade.
Oh, so much. And in the 2-seat sled as well, you know, it's still all quite new. And again, having teammates like Kaylee Humphries to draw the knowledge out of. You know, Kaylee's forgets more on a basis than these teammates will probably have learned so far.
Yeah, bang on it. So it is absolutely the right environment.
Good speed.
She's
13th best in the forest.
See what she can do down here. She's get that
nice and straight. Maybe she can teach Kaylee how to come off there. Not quite as much speed, but
good exit from Portago. There we go.
A 1:13.48, and that is half a second better than anything that she did yesterday. So sitting down with Coach Brian Scheimer, watching the video, 1:13.48. That is a huge step forward for Riley Compton. Day 2 of the Worlds. She's got the 2-seat sleds to look forward to next week. Won't have to divide her attention. Just 2 training days in the women's bob and then 2 days of competition. It's a great way to really build your knowledge of another new track and of these 2 different disciplines.
Yeah, so you can just see none of, you know, these just aren't optimal racing lines. She's still learning. Little skids off, Shamrock there, hits the wall. But just like you said, she's found 80.7 miles per hour, the better part of 81, and she's got the biggest smile because she is having a great time here.
She's found half a second very nearly on her runs yesterday.
Yeah, good job, Riley.
Good stuff from Riley Compton. Good stuff, too, from our race leader, Lara Nolte. She has extended her advantage. Can the Olympic bobsleigh champion become the world monobob champion? So far, Kaylee Humphries has taken the only monobob world championship gold in 2021 and the only Olympic gold in 2022. So Lara Nolte leads by an extended advantage, 4800s now, after a loose run crept into Kaylee Humphries' agenda. Lisa Buchwitz in 3rd, Brianna Walker in 4th, the threat for the medals. Kim Kilicki, Cynthia Appia, Melanie Hassler, that's going to be an enticing battle. Then Maureen Zimmer, the junior world champion, and hovering in the top 10. At the bottom of the 10 is Martina Fonteneva with Wai Ming, Victoria Chinanska, a possible threat from behind. And some tight battles still to conjure up. And for everybody, all 19 sliders, they'll be looking for an absolute best run in the 4th and final heat of the Monobob World Championships. They will be back, and we will be back at 11:15. That's 10:15 GMT. That is just under 30 minutes from now. Get the kettle on. Be back. Bye for now.
Ready? Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Große Festhütte auch da.
Hallo. Mijn microfoon blijft openstaan. 1, 2. Hoor je mij, Maarten? Ja, mijn microfoon staat gewoon open.